Good evening. Tonight we're looking at a significant geopolitical and economic development. Only hours after the U.S. administration issued tough economic warnings toward Canada, reports confirmed that Ottawa has finalized a large-scale trade framework with the European Union. This move helps protect Canada's economy from potential U.S. tariffs and shifts key supply chains toward Europe. The timing has stirred reactions across financial markets and diplomatic circles, highlighting a clear difference in approach between Washington and Ottawa. In recent days, the U.S. president has focused heavily on Canada in public statements. These included threats of a 25% tariff on Canadian goods and remarks implying Canada could be treated almost like a 51st state. The strategy seemed based on the idea that Canada, being highly dependent on U.S. trade, would quickly comply to safeguard its exports. However, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney chose a different path. Rather than responding publicly or engaging in political back and forth, he worked quietly behind the scenes with European leaders. The result is a deal that could reshape North American economic dynamics, according to sources, while Washington was applying pressure. Canada was securing stronger trade routes with Europe, expanding energy cooperation, and finalizing key mineral agreements largely without U.S. involvement. Experts in economics and diplomacy are already calling this a serious strategic setback for the U.S. administration. Reports suggest that officials in Washington are now reassessing the situation, as Canada's new partnerships may reduce the impact of any proposed tariff measures. By strengthening ties with Europe, Canada is positioning its resource sector as essential, which could create challenges for certain U.S. industries in terms of cost and supply. A key factor in this situation is leadership. Mark Carney brings extensive experience from his time leading both the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England. He has managed economic crises and built strong relationships with global policymakers. This background likely played a role in how effectively Canada navigated the situation, contrasting with assumptions that it would yield under pressure. While U.S. leadership was focused on public messaging, Canadian officials were reportedly in close contact with counterparts in Brussels, Berlin, and Paris. Discussions included coordination with European Commission leadership and energy ministers. Europe, still adjusting to reduced reliance on Russian energy, has been actively seeking stable partners, and Canada appears to have stepped into that role. The agreement itself is wide-ranging. It strengthens Canada's position as a major energy supplier to Europe, including LNG exports and collaboration on renewable energy and hydroelectric power. It also opens broader access for Canadian goods to the European market, which includes hundreds of millions of consumers. This diversification could reduce Canada's reliance on a single major trading partner. For Canada, this marks a shift in economic strategy. Traditionally, its economy has been closely tied to the United States. Expanding trade options helps reduce that dependence and creates more flexibility in future policy decisions. Meanwhile, the U.S. faces a more complicated situation. Moving forward with tariffs could increase domestic costs and disrupt supply chains, while backing away might carry political implications. Either option presents challenges, and the broader strategic landscape has already shifted. Overall, this development reflects changing global dynamics. Countries with stable systems and valuable resources are increasingly able to build alternative partnerships and reduce reliance on traditional power structures. Canada's recent move highlights how strategic planning and quiet diplomacy can influence global outcomes. Notably, Prime Minister Carney has avoided framing the deal as a victory over the United States. Instead, he has emphasized mutual benefits and cooperation. This measured approach may help maintain stability in relations while still advancing Canada's long-term interests. In short, what began as economic pressure has led to an unexpected outcome. Rather than yielding, Canada has strengthened its position through new alliances. As global trade patterns continue to evolve, this moment could mark an important turning point.